Oh, okay. So we're live on all the platforms, so I think we can start. Hi, welcome everyone. And today we're going to have our first discussion around what token economics means. So first, let me just give you a broad outline. Of course, I've shared a blog post with you, which I hope you guys have read. I also shared a small quiz, 9 or 10 questions. I hope you've done that also. First, let me just give you some basics. Just give me 1 second. I'll share my screen. Let me know if my screen is visible. It should say deflationary tokens on top. If you can see that, just give me a quick yes. Awesome. So see, there are four kinds of tokens. And now the definitions may not be convincing to all of you. I mean, we all have a different way of thinking about it. But when we talk about deflationary tokens, I'll tell you where the word comes from. So fiat currencies are considered inflationary because there is no limit to how many of them can be created. So because governments can print as much money as they want or issue it digitally, we call them inflationary. So automatically, if there is any kind of a crypto which has a fixed supply, the maximum supply, if it is fixed, we call it deflationary. Now, I think it's wrong to think that just because it's deflationary means the value will keep going up over time. That's not the case at all. It depends a lot upon the project and the usage and so many other factors. But when we use the word deflationary tokens, we are talking about crypto assets having a fixed maximum supply. So as you know, in cryptos, there are three kinds of supply figures. There is something called circulating supply, maximum supply, total supply. Circulating supply means the number of tokens available in the common market. I mean, for people like you and me to buy and sell. Then there is total supply, which is how much of those tokens have been issued minus those that have been burnt, and all those factors are considered. But we really bothered here about maximum supply. What is the maximum that can ever be made? So for example, when we talk about Avalanche, so the maximum is 720 million. And when we talk about Bitcoin, we all know it's 21 million. So a crypto asset having a finite specific maximum supply is called a deflationary token. And these are the some of the top deflationary ones, the ones that I personally follow. So there's Avalanche, Bitcoin, Binance, which is now called BNB, Cardano, Chainlink, Ethereum Classic, which is kind of like the original version, FTX token, Litecoin, Polygon, Stellar, Uniswap, and XRP. Any questions so far? Is it all clear? Do you have anything you want to talk at this stage? Okay. Then the second is what we call as the inflationary token. So inflationary token means they have an unlimited supply. The max supply is unlimited. So any amount of those could be created. And common examples are Cosmos, Dogecoin, Ether, though ETH, that's the Vitalik's version of it, Monero, which is a privacy coin, Polkadot, Shiba Inu, Solana, and Tron. By the way, I don't know how many of you know, but just a couple of days ago, Tron is now recognized as a legal tender in the country of Dominica. So that's an interesting new development. We know Bitcoin became legal tender in El Salvador a year plus ago. Tron has just become legal tender in another small country. Any questions on this? Is the concept clear? What we mean by inflationary? Give me a quick clear if it's all clear. Awesome. Then we have dual token projects, which honestly, I really like these kind of projects. So a dual token project is where a project will have two tokens. Of course, I'm sure in future we are going to have projects with multi tokens. So one example would be Axie Infinity and Smooth Love Potion. They're both part of the same ecosystem. We have Theta Fuel and Theta Network, again part of the same system. And we have VeChain and VeChain Thor Energy, part of the same system. Now, when we look at a dual token kind of a model, why do we even think about it like this? So I think the strong points of this is that we can use one kind of token to power our transactions and another kind of token to control ownership of the platform. So consider it like, in a company, you have shares, and depending upon who owns how many shares, you have ownership of the company. Similarly, in a crypto project, if we kind of make it like a DAO, a decentralized autonomous organization, then there can be tokens called DAO tokens for that project, which can be given to people who actually have ownership over the platform. And then we can also look at things like a token for the medium of exchange. So for example, on the Ethereum mainnet, we need ETH to pay for gas fees. So that becomes like a utility coin. It is useful for using the platform. And the second option that we could look at is something like a DAO token, which could control ownership. And I think as time goes by, we could see more and more tokens coming into a project. For example, if you guys are familiar with the Axie Infinity project, they also have Axies, which are NFTs. So technically, there are three kinds of tokens in the Axie universe. The fungible, the non-fungible, it's divided into both. Okay, there's a question. What is this platform and what we get? So yeah, this is a platform called Future Money Wallet. This is my personal project. So this is kind of what I use to do my own research and analysis. And now step by step, I'm opening it up for my students also. Yuganka's question is, what is the difference between a coin and a token? Good question. So the native crypto asset of a blockchain is called a coin. So in Ethereum's example, ETH for Ethereum mainnet, Bitcoin, BTC would be the coin. And then on the platform, if we can create multiple other tokens, multiple other assets, we can call them tokens. So on Ethereum, we say ETH is the native coin, but things like basic attention token, all these are called tokens. I hope that's clear, Yuvanga. Any other questions? Okay. So like I said, I think dual token is where as token economists, we should put maximum focus on, because so I've advised more than 100 projects till today at various stages of development from say the year 2015, 2016 onwards. So what I've realized is initially everyone would go for just a simple one token kind of a thing. And the whole ICO craze was also built around that. But now I'm beginning to see that startups and projects are looking at this very seriously. And they've all begun to realize that for most projects, a single token doesn't make sense. So I believe in the long run, every project would have at least two tokens. One would be controlling its ownership, whether it's a DAO token or whether it's a security token, that's a different thing. But one for controlling ownership and one for the utility on the platform. And then we have something called as the asset-backed tokens. So these are those tokens which are backed by a real world asset. So for example, something like a WBTC, that's the wrapped Bitcoin. I would not put it under asset backed, because Bitcoin in itself, I don't think can be considered a real world asset. It is another token or a crypto coin, whatever we want to call it. So when I say asset backed token, I believe it would be tokens backed by fiat currency. So examples in front of you are Binance USD, HUSD, Tether. And then we would have tokens backed by other things. So for example, it could be backed by gold, like we have Pax Gold. Now we also see a lot of tokens which are backed by equity shares. So you have Amazon tokens, Tesla tokens. So FTX, which is an exchange, they tie up with a custodian. The custodian holds the equity shares. In turn, the custodian issues one-to-one tokens which are mapped to that equity share. So the price of the token and the price of the backing asset, like an equity share, would almost be identical. I have a question. What is the dual token project? Which one is better to invest in, the utility token or ownership? That's a very good question. And it depends. We cannot answer it generically. It depends on the project. So let's take an example. I'm sure you guys are aware of Uniswap right here. Now, Uniswap has a governance token. So the question would be, should we invest in Uniswap? So I want some of you to give me your opinions on that. What do you guys think? So we know Uniswap is a popular platform, decentralized exchange for Ethereum-based tokens. But the Uni token is only for governance. So does it make sense? What do you guys think? Give me some answers. Keshav says no for me. Why, Keshav? Would you like to add to your answer? Why do you think a governance token is not good for you? Okay, while Keshav is answering, if there's anyone else who has a point, please feel free to make it. Abhishek says, over time, I think it has developed a utility aspect. Sure, that's one way of thinking about it. So the way I would look at it, right? Only if you want to contribute to the project, okay. Yuganga asked, what is a governance token? Does it basically give voting rights? Yes. So governance tokens allow you to be part of the governance. Depending upon the DAO, you could have different levels of voting power. Everyone doesn't have the same. Some founders could have more voting power, which is not a bad scenario. If the project is very complicated from a tech point of view, you don't want everyone voting on tech changes. So you could actually have a separate voting rights for the founders or the tech adopters. So I would say a governance token is good if it actually gives me ownership, which means if my DAO or the DAO I'm talking about is registered, let's say as an LLC in a country, like Wyoming in the US allows DAOs to automatically become LLCs, or that token actually gives me equity shares, then I would say that is the number one. Because I am now owning a project just the way I could own a company by going to the stock market and buying shares. So for me, a token that gives me ownership, I would say that is the number one best token to invest in, because over time it is going to improve as long as the project is doing well. Utility tokens, on the other hand, as of today are doing very well, but I think slowly the market is going to mature. And slowly people will realize there's no point holding on to a Bitcoin or an ETH. What's the point, right? After all, what is the work of ETH? It is only supposed to be used to pay gas fee. So as long as you are not interested in running your own contract, so you're not running a platform on it, what are you going to do with ETH? So I strongly believe over the next couple of years, we will see utility coins reduce in value, and they should be cheap. Only then the platform is worth using. If Ethereum, ETH becomes too expensive, people will move away to other platforms like Binance Chain or Polygon. So I believe for the future, utility coins will become cheaper and cheaper. It's the governance or ownership coins which will become more valuable. So Antonio's question is, what is the economic value of a governance token? So as of today, if the governance token gives you only voting rights, then I'll be very honest, it is not very valuable. But like I said, as we move into the future and it gives you ownership of the company, then it becomes like a share. Like, why do people want to pay so much for Tesla shares or Amazon, Microsoft, Google? Because they believe the companies will become more and more valuable and I will be part of it. So I hope that answers your question, Antonio. Pritesh says Uniswap V2 to V3, we need uni tokens. Yeah, okay. Again, for governance, we are not. Could do you mean that now we will need Uniswap tokens for creating liquidity pools and swapping? Is that what you're saying, Pritesh? Could you clarify on that? Antonio says, okay, we've answered the question. Then, oh yeah, okay. So this is what I believe would be the future. And like I said, in asset back, we have all sorts of new kinds of things coming, and I'm very bullish on these kind of tokens. Do all DAOs offer governance tokens? So Yuganga, they're supposed to, because without a governance token, the DAO is not of any use, right? Of course, you may have a situation where the utility token is also used for governance. There's no rule against it. But I believe those two should be kept separated. If we need to change the protocol, okay, I'll research more on this and get back to you, Pritesh. Aren't buying tokens of any project give you ownership of the project? No, actually it doesn't. So when you buy Bitcoin, right? So we know that Bitcoin's total maximum supply is restricted to 21 million. Now, if you own a certain number of those, in one way you can say that I own part of the tokens. But again, you must realize it gives you no ownership. You do not get to decide what happens on the Bitcoin platform. Let me give you an example. Bitcoin's first major fork was Bitcoin Cash. So a lot of people felt they wanted to change the technology of Bitcoin to make it better. Some people said no. So the Bitcoin blockchain did a hard fork into two. And now we have BTC and BCH. And at the time of the fork, how many ever BTC you own, that many BCH you got. And now they're running as two independent blockchains. So as a holder of Bitcoin, you did not get a chance to say anything in the fork. Only the people operating the nodes, the miners, got a say in it. So in a proof of work, it doesn't matter whether you have BTC or you don't. It just depends if you're running mining nodes or not. In a staking platform like what Ethereum has now become, there, if you own more tokens, you can get rights to validate. But again, understand, validation doesn't give you much right. It happens as per an algorithm. You don't really have any say in how the platform changes. Even today, it would be Vitalik and a few developers who control the Ethereum software. You will not get a say no matter how many tokens you own. So I believe in the long run, utility tokens will be only for utility, using the platform. Kind of like when you go on a highway, you pay toll. Similarly, ETH would be used to pay the toll. And I think the future belongs to DAO tokens and tokens which give you more power. Any questions? If it's all clear, just give me a yes. Because that's the only way I know I'm out. Yeah, awesome. Okay, Gagan is a very good point. Can learn tokens be called as utility tokens? So those of you who are new here, every time that you attend a live session on Creator, you are earning learn tokens in your wallet. And then you can use these learn tokens to get premium courses, right? So in one way, we can consider them utility tokens, although legally we define them as loyalty points. So, but yeah, in a way, they are also utility tokens. I hope that part's clear, Gagan. Any other questions? Okay. Now let me just change my screen. Give me a second. Okay. Yeah. So now I'm opening up the blog that I shared with you all. It says, so let me know if you can see something called what is token economics written in green. Just give me a yes if you can see that. Awesome. So when we look at the token ecosystem, so what are the things? Firstly, there are blockchains, right? Now I've written here only L1 and L2, but there are L0, L1, L2, three kinds of blockchains. So L0 allows you to spin L1s. L1 is a blockchain which does its finality on its own, and L2 connects to an L1 to do finality. That's the difference between the three. So an L0 example would be Polkadot, L1 would be Ethereum, L2 would be Polygon. Then we have wallets like MetaMask. Obviously, they are critical because that's how people hold their assets. Then we have centralized and decentralized exchanges. We have DAOs, we have DeFi protocols, and we have Web3 storage projects. So even they come under the token ecosystem. So as a token economist, we need to be very comfortable with all of these. And then we can see that crypto assets can be divided into more. So there are cryptocurrencies, which you use as a medium of exchange, governance tokens, NFTs, privacy coins, security tokens, which represent shares, utility tokens, and wrap tokens or assets or stable coins. So these are the common 7 types of crypto assets. And when we talk about inflationary, deflationary, and all that, those come under token economic model. So if you were advising a project, the first thing that you would look at is out of these 7, what all makes sense for that project. So you may come to a conclusion that that project needs governance tokens and NFTs and maybe security tokens. So you could advise them to use security token to do fundraise, give ownership to investors, then use utility for the regular interaction, and then use governance for something else. So this is how it would work. Yuganka's question is about privacy coins. So as you know, in normal cryptos, the blockchain explorer is very transparent and anybody can see all the transactions done by any address. A privacy coin is privacy enhanced. So from their blockchain, you will not come to know who did what transaction when. Everything is hidden very well. Classic example being Monero, one of my favorite projects. So economic models then would come second, where we would advise what kind of economic models that particular project would use. So here, of course, later you can go through this article and I'm just sharing the link. Give me a second. So those who have not seen the article already, I've put the link here. You can always go through it later. Then we have token distribution models. So what this means is how are your cryptos going to be circulated? So airdrop is the first, that is basically a free drop. So many projects became famous because they completely gave everything away for free to the community and then the prices went up. So airdrop is when a project gives free tokens. So one reason is as a marketing effort, you make people join your group, follow you in social media and do something. In return, you give them free tokens. Then we have ICO, which is the oldest method, where like Binance initially got financed through an ICO, where kind of you say, okay, this is the project I'm building, pay money and take my token. So Ethereum, Binance, these are all examples of successful ICOs. So in an ICO, a brand new project raises funds. I hope on my screen you can see all that written, ICO and all that. Just give me a quick yes, if it's visible. Awesome. Then we have reverse ICO, which is similar to a reverse IPO, which happens in stock markets, right? So in that, what happens is a large existing company gets taken over by a listed token. The token may not be so big. The company may be bigger, a more mature project, but it helps them to immediately get listed. So I think reverse ICO, we are going to see a lot of such things happening as more and more companies get into this. Are you aware that now Google search allows you to directly look at the balances of Ethereum addresses? Are you guys aware of that? It's a very interesting new thing. So in Google, you can enter an address and immediately it can show you the balance. So that's a really cool thing which is starting to happen. So I can see adoption rates increasing with things like this happening. Sindhuri's question is why blockchain is not a requirement implementation of a CBDC. Yeah. So see, CBDC is a central bank digital currency. It is not issued by multiple people. They don't need it to be decentralized. It cannot be because it is run by the government. So it is just a different way where the central bank of the country is issuing the token directly, the money, rather than going through banks. So CBDC should never use blockchain. It does not make any sense. Blockchain is not a good technology for CBDCs. Then we have IEO, which is where you go to an exchange, centralized exchange, and they will list you on day one and people can directly buy. So that's again a good option because centralized exchanges already have large number of customers. Then we have IDOs, initial DEX offering. So this is where tokens are launched through a decentralized exchange like a pancake swap rather than going to a centralized exchange like a Binance, right? Then we have DICO, which is, I think, the most important for the future, which is a mixture of DAO and ICO. So ideally, you would have one or two tokens, but which would give you utility plus the governance, and you would directly issue a DICO. Yuganka's question, are reverse ICOs doing the same role as bonds? No. So bonds are debt instruments where you have to return and you have to pay interest. In crypto world, we don't pay interest or return the money. That doesn't fit in. What is decentralized and centralized exchange from Srikanth? So a centralized exchange is owned by a company like Binance, for example, or in India we have CoinDCX, WazirX and all. A decentralized exchange is not owned by any one entity. It is like a smart contract. Anybody can go create their liquidity pools. You can't create your own liquidity pool on a centralized exchange. You can only do that on a DEX like Uniswap, PancakeSwap. Then we have equity token offering, security token offering, or SAFTs, which is simple agreement for future tokens. All of them come under the same category of equity backed. So they are securities. You need to follow all the legal process. Otherwise, you would be in a lot of legal trouble. Any other questions so far? Is it all clear? Just tell me clear if it's all clear. I hope you guys can hear me. Yeah, awesome. Then let's look at strategic documents, right? So when we talk about strategic documents, we usually talk about things like white paper, light paper, yellow paper, and beige paper. You may have heard these terms. So a white paper is like a marketing document aimed at potential investor. Classic example of that could be something like Binance. Bitcoin's white paper was not really at investors because they were not raising funds. But Binance was, so that is why we call it a marketing document. Light paper is a smaller version of it. A yellow paper has more technical details aimed more at the developers, and a beige paper is a simplified, shorter version of the yellow paper. So usually you will hear about these four kinds of strategic documents. Any questions? Let me know if it's clear, or if you have any questions right now, you can put them. Awesome. Then briefly, what does a token economist do? So usually you would do four things. Firstly, you would choose the best type of crypto asset for any project. Then you would choose the best token economics model. Then you would identify the best fundraising method. And finally, you would prepare the strategic documents. So this is the kind of work that a token economist does. And it's a pretty well-paying field, I'll be very honest with you. So usually, depending upon how popular you are in the industry and how much experience you have, you can actually charge a percentage of all the tokens that are issued. 1% of it is for you. So it's one of the most important roles. Most people don't know about it. They have not heard the word token economist, but it is actually the most important role in any crypto project in the world. You cannot have a project like this unless there is a token economist who knows exactly what all to do. Questions? In the meanwhile, let me change my screen. Give me a second. Let me just share my. So, sorry. Yeah. So I've shared some resources with you. So one is, of course, what is token economics. Second, I'm going to send you a link right now. It's 51 crypto metrics that you must know. So spoke to you about supply, circulating, maximum, and total. That's just three. Like this, there are total 51 metrics that you have to know about. I put the link so you can go through it and get to know. Uh, Abhishek's question is if token economist has to be very well versed with the tech as well. Abhishek, that's a good question. Not very well versed, but yes, certain amount you have to because you need to understand what the project is doing. Now, a blockchain project can be divided into two types. One is a tech project, which is giving technical services, for example. Example would be Uniswap. And second would be something which is doing something simpler, like running a wallet. Now, there you don't need to understand too much of tech, but if what you're creating is a complex derivatives platform, then you need to be good in the tech as well as the financial aspects. So a little bit knowledge of three things is needed. I would say you should know about Web3 technology, you should know about the law and compliance, and you should know about the financial aspects. So yes, knowledge of three is critical. How to become a token economics analyst or how to get a job in this field? Yeah, that's a good question. So one is, of course, you could look at sites like w3.career and all, and they do list. So usually they will list for DeFi analyst and expect you to do a token economics job also. So sometimes that word is also used, but DeFi analyst is supposed to be totally different. But that's one way. And second, I would say one of the best ways is to build your credibility through platforms like LinkedIn. And when people come to know that, okay, you are good at this, they may come to you with work. And I'm also planning to start off a course in this. So you guys can definitely have a look at that also. Uh, Another question from Pranay, can you share a database from where we can find case studies and economics of previously launched tokens? Yeah, so I will share a link with you guys. So of course, there are many, many projects and I will be adding more and more to this list. But right now, if you can see on this list, one is basic attention token, Binance Exchange. Are you able to see all the names of these files on my screen right now? Can you give me a yes? Okay. So let me just open some of them up for you, right? So I'm just opening some of them and I'm giving you this link here. So later you can go and download these. I'll put the link in. Yeah, it's gone. You can see that. So of course, basic attention token, I would say, okay, let's just open it up. It's a little slow today. Give me a second or two more. Okay, so I hope you can see basic attention token here. Give me a quick yes if you're able to see it. Okay. So this is, just give me a quick yes. Yeah, awesome. So this is one of my favorite projects and I'll tell you the reason. The person behind this project is the guy who invented JavaScript in the world and invented the Mozilla Firefox browser. So his project is very, very interesting. And what I like a lot about the document is that firstly, of course, they've gone very deep into something called attention-based economics. So how do you value human attention? But that was a very interesting thing. They've used words like token distribution and all. They were amongst the first to talk about this concept. And of course, you'll find a whole bunch of complicated mathematics also in it. Let me get to the maths part. Hold on. Just few more seconds. I'm scrolling. It should be, yeah. So here, if you begin to see, they have talked about a lot of theorems and they've talked about a lot of mathematical formulae. And what they've tried to explain is how they are going to monetize human attention. Because when you use their platform, like the Brave browser, when you visit sites, you actually get paid. And the person who owns the site also gets paid. So they've come out with a lot of mathematical formulae around this. So now, obviously, if you were working for this project and you were developing this document, your knowledge of the finance, economics, and mathematics also needs to be very high. So I would always recommend to you, try reading the basic attention token or the BAT white paper. It's one of the best white papers that you will find out there. Any specific questions? Give me a quick yes if you have, or just tell me yes if you understood everything so far. You have a question, just put it out there. Awesome. Then let's look at another one, which is of course the Binance. So, Binance started off with an ICO, and they were amongst the first in the world, and they spoke about the problems in the world of crypto exchanges. There were very few exchanges before Binance came. So they kind of explained all that, and then they spoke about their matching engine and what all features they are going to have. And initially, they only started with these because you can see these were the only coins in the world at that time. So when Binance started, there was really Bitcoin, Ether, Litecoin, Neo, and of course their own coin called Binance. And they said that they had no plans to support fiat currencies. Later, of course, they came out with their own stable coin also. And they just explained what they're building. They gave a preview of their user interface. Now, why this was important is because they were amongst the first crypto exchanges. So they wanted to show people that the way you are able to do stock trading, you can do the same thing for crypto. And that was one of the most important things that Binance did. So I would say, again, this is a good white paper to read. Any questions? Please keep posting them. Then we have, of course, the world's first white paper, which was Bitcoin. So even in Bitcoin, you will realize towards the end, they've actually given a little bit of maths here. But in Bitcoin's case, this maths can be ignored because all that they're doing in this is telling you how the probability of a bad node or an evil node is to take over the chain. Even if you ignore it, you will understand the whole thing. And what I really like about this white paper is it explains all the concepts because they invented blockchain in this. So all the different technical words, proof of work, hashing, digital signatures, everything is mentioned in this white paper. So that's another white paper you should be looking at. Have questions? Keep posting them. This is another good one. So you may have heard about something called USDC, a stable coin. So it is by Center and I think Coinbase, the crypto exchange. So this one is more like a well-established financial institution coming into the crypto field. So they have a whole different way of showcasing it. Again, that's a good example to learn. Then another one of the projects I like is called Chiliz. Have you guys ever heard about it? CHZ? Give me a quick yes if you know, or a no if you've not heard about it. Okay, so some of you have. So this is, you may have heard about fan tokens where you get a right to vote about what your favorite sports team should do. What jersey they should wear, what music they should practice to. So that comes from the Chiliz project. So CHZ is their native crypto. And then they have fan tokens for all the different football and cricket and other teams. So it's a very interesting project, very nicely made paper. And another thing I like about it is this is a platform registered in Malta, which has a very specific law and very expensive to register. More than $100,000 it costs to register under the Malta laws. So this is registered there. So again, a very interesting paper that you should be reading. There are 2-3 more. One is Gemini, which talks about regulated stable value coins. Another one which you may find interesting is do you guys know that Telegram came out with its ICO and they came with something called the TON token? Yeah, but then they got into a lot of legal troubles in the US. Then they returned $1 billion, as in billion with a B. But now they're back in action. So Telegram is another very good one that you should read about. Tether, of course, you must, because this was the first time someone brought in the stable coin concept. It was brilliant. So that's another one that you should read. And yeah, so I would say these are the important ones that you should know about. And if you look at these white papers, almost every white paper that you will build in future is actually based on these concepts. So I would strongly recommend that you should read these. Anupam's question is, can you technically explain how crypto pairs work? How does transaction get registered on 2 different blockchains when the swap happens? Maybe, okay. Let me just stop sharing and I will answer your question. Give me, okay. So usually when we talk about transactions in 2 blockchains, we use a bridge. So let's say there is a Bitcoin blockchain here and the Ethereum blockchain here. Now Bitcoin, BTC is not EVM compatible. Ethereum virtual machine compatible, whereas Ethereum is EVM compatible. So you can take your Bitcoin and lock it in a smart contract called WBTC, and then you will be given ERC20 tokens called WBTC on the Ethereum blockchain. So that's how most bridges work. They will lock something in one blockchain and issue something in another blockchain. That's usually how it happens. In a centralized exchange, they don't hit transactions on the blockchain. All the transactions they do are happening internally. That's why it is so fast. Within milliseconds, you can do it. Blockchains take time. Even the fastest blockchain in the world cannot compete with a conventional database driven system. So centralized exchanges don't hit the blockchain. You have to pay money to move your crypto from a central exchange to a actual blockchain address, because that's when it happens, and it takes time also. But other than that, if you're directly working on a blockchain, you are going to use bridges to go from one chain to another chain. Anupam, I hope that answers your question. Okay. Any other questions? Let me know. So we've spoken a lot bit about the basic concepts. We saw the different token economic models. Obviously, this is just a small session, so I can't cover everything. But I kind of wanted to introduce to you guys what all the things you should be doing. Anupam says, so is this same technology Polkadot uses? No. Polkadot is a very different concept, right? So in Polkadot, let's say this is the relay chain that handles finality. And then on top, you have parachains, parallel chains. And they all use the relay chain to do finality. So it's not a bridge. A bridge is when one independent blockchain connects to another independent blockchain through this smart contract. But Polkadot is a separate concept. That is why we sometimes say it is a L0, because you use it to create parallel chains. So I hope that becomes clear, Anupam, that is very different from bridging. And if you guys want to learn more about the tech, I have a free course which I've launched today called Web3 Developer. Go through it, and in that I've taught all the tech also in detail with programming and everything. So that would also help you guys a lot. Any other questions? Okay, so it was nice speaking to all of you. I hope you guys have joined the WhatsApp group for token economics that I've started. So I'll be putting more content also there. Today's video also I'll put up there for those who've missed it. Yuganka says, I think Dogecoin went from being deflationary to inflationary. Who decides this? Existing owners of the token. What if some percentage of Dogecoin users today decide to hard fork and change it? Okay. So when Dogecoin started, it had a fixed maximum supply, and then later the founder decided to change it. So these kind of decisions are taken by the miners, right? So for example, when Bitcoin became BTC and BCH, it was a decision that the miners had to take, because that's a proof of work system. In other cases, it may be a decision that the DAO takes. In some cases, you can just fork the coin and you can become a new one. But the point is, if the new coin that you have started or the new blockchain network doesn't get traction, enough people don't come to give you the tech support and to run mining nodes, the project will fail. So it's quite tough. Like, I'll give you an example. You know, recently Ethereum moved from proof of work to proof of stake. Can someone give me a quick yes if you know about that? Okay. So who decided that? Right. So it was ultimately a decision taken by Vitalik and the group. They have something called the Ethereum Foundation. But when the actual movement happened, it did split. And you have something new called ETHPOW, Ethereum Proof of Work. But that has not got much traction. So nobody is using it. So that's an important thing to remember. You can fork a blockchain easily, but if you don't get traction, the whole project just fails. So the Ethereum merger has not created any sort of a problem. Deepak, I hope that answers your question on that. So you want to know about the URL for the tech course? I will just send it to you. Give me a second. I've sent you the link for my Web3 developer course, and definitely you guys can go through that. Somebody had asked some, yeah, Emmanuel said, can you have a course on token economics? Yes, I'm planning to start one. I am planning a course on it. So I am planning it to be more like a master class where, you know, in one day we will finish the whole course. I will be announcing that very shortly. Any other questions? Anything else you guys would like to know? So like I said, I'll keep adding some more reading material on the platform on the WhatsApp group over the next few days, and I'll also announce the class. And secondly, I'd like to tell you that because you are right now attending this on the Creator platform, you're earning Learn tokens in your wallet. So that's a benefit you get when you attend my sessions on Creator rather than on YouTube or any other platform. Abhishek's question is the developer course for programmers? Yes, it is more towards them. Although even if you're not a programmer, you can do it, but yeah, it'll require more effort from your side. Non-programmers can do it. Somebody asked a question. Srikanth wanted to know what is staking. So in a proof of work system, you run hardwares like nodes and you validate transactions. In a proof of stake system, you don't need to run expensive hardware and you don't need to compete. But what you can do is some crypto is locked, and you can say that is called staking it. It's locked, and then you are allowed to validate transactions and you get some profit for that. So that's the reward that you earn for locking your token. And if you try to hack the system, your tokens can be taken away from you. That's the logic behind staking. Emmanuel's question is, can you give assignments to validate learning? I will do that in my course. As of right now, I have created some questions in my Telegram group. So there are about 10, 12 questions. I'll add some more. So I hope you guys have done those questions. Yeah. Who gets the reward in staking? The person who has staked. So when you lock your coin, so you can stake as a pool. So suppose, the platform needs a large number of coins. Like I think Binance Smart Chain needs 10,000 BNB, which is huge, millions of dollars. So people can get together as a pool and do it. Just like in mining also, you can get together and have a mining pool. Validators will get turn-wise? No, it's not turn-wise. Most systems don't use round robin. That we find more in hybrid systems. But in public blockchains, no, it is probability based. It's kind of random. Link to Telegram group for the quiz. Yes, I'll give it to you. Just give me a second. Actually, it's there in the WhatsApp group. I had posted the link. Let me just try to get it. Give me a second. Yeah, got it. So, Anupam, this is the link for it. It's not a group, it's a channel. So you can go and just take the questions there. I also have a newsletter, which I'm renamed to the Token Economist. And I'm setting up a group on LinkedIn also for token economics. So I'm going to do a lot of teaching in the field of token economics now. So you guys can be part of it. And I think this is a golden period to get into token economics because there are going to be hundreds and hundreds of new projects that are going to do fundraising. Srikanth says, can we have a token that is utility and security? Yes, of course you can. So you would register with the government under securities laws, and then you could allow that token to be used for utility on the blockchain. But I would not recommend, and I'll tell you why. See, when it comes to security tokens, there are rules. So the government may not allow you to give that token to certain country citizens. Take an example. US has put an embargo on Russia, which means if you're registered under the US laws for securities, you cannot sell that token to a Russian citizen. But you don't mind anybody in the world taking your utility token and using your platform, even if the person is Russian or American. So do not make the same utility and security token. I would say keep it two separate ones. I hope that answers your question, Srikanth. Any other questions? Srikanth, can you give me a quick yes if the answer is clear for you? Awesome. Can utility and DAO token be the same? They can. And again, I would recommend no, and I'll tell you why. See, you want those people buying utility tokens who are using the platform. But who do you want in the DAO? You want people actually controlling the platform and who understand the vision of the platform. So I think they should be separate, which is why I am very bullish that the future is going to be multi-token. No matter what project, I think almost every project in the world, unless it is something like a Bitcoin or a Monero, which is a currency project, their dual doesn't make sense. But every other project should be dual or multiple. You can actually have more. How would DAO tokens get their value? So Anupam, that's a good point. So it depends on the thinking of the users. So let's say that I as a platform, I am using a particular project a lot. I need to be part of the DAO because I need my voting. So in that case, I will be ready to pay more. And if the DAO is registered as a company, I get ownership. So that would give it a lot more value. Any other questions? Can you give some names of dual tokens which we can research on? Sure. So let me just put them in here. I had briefly shown it to you also. So one is the Axie Infinity system, which is have something called AXS, which is Axie Infinity shards, and SLP, which is smooth love potion. So that is one. Theta is the second one, and VChain is the third one. So let me just put the names also here. Axie Infinity, Theta, and VChain. So these are the three that you should know about. Anupam's question is, will it become security? So the moment you're giving ownership, it becomes security. And yes, it will come under the jurisdiction of a country, but that's a good thing. It makes the investors feel secure. So security tokens are not a bad thing. It's actually a good thing. Yeah. Difference between coin and token, Abhishek? Yeah, so a coin is native to a blockchain. So for the Bitcoin blockchain, the native crypto is BTC, so we call it a coin. But on the Ethereum platform, ETH is native, so it's coin. But all the other tokens created, like basic attention token or all those projects, they are called tokens. Although it's not a legal distinction, it's just a general tech term. What kind of projects can be taken under token? Good question. Actually, anything. Even a company having a physical product, like let's say a toothpaste company, can raise money through security tokens, because in a security token you can raise money globally rather than only from your country. So when you do an IPO on the stock market, there are lots more laws to follow, very costly, and you can only do one country. But when you do the same thing on a blockchain, hardly any laws apply, you have a global audience, and things are much easier and faster. So I think even a physical company can raise money through blockchain based fundraising, and that is why I think token economics is going to pick up very, very big time. Just like today you have merchant bankers who handle IPOs and all, you're going to have token economists handling such projects in the future. In the Bitcoin white paper, what is the meaning of the phrase chain of digital signature? So Venkat, this is a tech question. I have a couple of videos in my Web3 course on the Bitcoin white paper. So I've actually analyzed the white paper. It's a very nice, long, detailed one. Have a look at it. You'll get all your answers on that. Emmanuel says, can you give a project value? So that means you're talking about valuation models? Yes. So I have actually developed my own valuation model. Let me show it to you. Give me a second. So I'll tell you what I do. Can you guys see my screen? It should show you deflationary tokens written there. Give me a quick yes, if you can see it. Okay. So what I do is, just give me 1 second. So how I do valuation, let me tell you. So I've divided cryptos into 11 types, right? Out of these 11 types, the one that you can see in green, I do valuation for those. So I do it for ready money cryptos like Bitcoin, privacy coins like Monero, application and security coins, governance tokens, and public blockchain natives. And what I've done is for each of them, I have developed different methods. So for a Bitcoin kind of a thing, I go more on the volume that it has done in the last 24 hours. And based on that, the system calculates. Again, similar for privacy coins. And then for others, I use something called the ROHAS method, where I talk about the revenue model, organization, history, algorithm, and social parameters. And based on that, it does the calculation. And then for public blockchain natives, I go on a concept called TVL, or total value law. So this is again something that I'm going to cover in my token economics course. So I'll definitely let you guys know as soon as I announce that course. I hope that part is clear. And in the course, I will also be giving you access to this platform, which is called the Future Money platform. It is restricted only to people who are doing my courses. So Abhishek, as of right now, you will not be able to access this. It's a restricted platform. Yeah. Any other questions? Okay, awesome. So great. I look forward to interacting with you guys more in the future. Take care. Bye-bye.